We probably can't even imagine a Bible without it being divided into chapters and verses. But of course, when the biblical authors originally wrote their contributions to the Bible, they weren't dividing their works into chapters and verses. They were added later for convenience, so that it was easier for someone to find what they were looking for. We believe the Bible to be the Word of God, but that does not include the little numbers that divide the text up. The Hebrew Bible, or the Old Testament, was divided into verses pretty early, but these verses weren't numbered per se. The divisions were there so that the rabbis could comment on this verse and then comment on that verse. What we would recognize as the modern division of the Hebrew Bible came around the 900s AD. The modern chapter system for the Old and New Testaments was developed by Archbishop Stephen Langton, the Archbishop of Canterbury from 1207 to 1228. In the mid-16th century, Robert Stephanus Estienne created the modern verse numbers, and he printed the first New Testament ever written with chapter and verse numbers in them in 1551. The chapter and verse markers are relatively standard across versions and translations, even in different languages, but because there is no authoritative numbering system, just traditions dating back to the last 500 years or so, sometimes things move around. There are some places where the chapters and verses get out of sync between Jewish and Christian versions of the Hebrew Bible. For example, in Christian Bibles, Malachi has 4 chapters. In Jewish Bibles, Malachi has 3 chapters. The books aren't different, except how the verses are numbered and divided in chapters. The book of Jonah is different too, with Christian Bibles denoting 17 verses in the first chapter and Jewish Bibles denoting 16. Jewish Bibles take that 17th verse and assign it as the first verse of the second chapter, making the second chapters in Jewish and Christian Bibles completely off by 1 number. These differences demonstrate that the system isn't universal, and therefore the systems are a little less handy. If I ask my friend the rabbi about his interpretation of Jonah 2:4, he's going to think I'm talking about Jonah 2:5. But the small differences in the division of chapters and verses are minor, and 99% or more of our Bibles are agreed on how to reference a chapter and verse.